It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Little different surroundings today. Normally, the show commences, there's a big word, from the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. However, today, a little bit different. I'm actually at the homestead up in the rec room. Billy is over in Maryland, and Kelly Holcomb, who will join us here in just a moment, is in Murfreesboro. First things first, though, I want to just say to all the folks who have been affected by what went on last night with the tornadoes, and in particular those in Columbia, want you to know that we're thinking about you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. I feel very guilty today. I was very fortunate in that none of the bad stuff hit where I live, and it's almost like I feel guilty. So I wanted to kind of pass that on at the very beginning. Billy, are you there?
I am.
Okay, that's good. Hello.
Hello.
Shall we bring Kelly in from Murfreesboro?
Let's do it.
Kelly, there was a point last night where I thought it was headed in your direction.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of storms, but I always like to watch, and we always go to the basement, and I go outside and I watch and see what's going on. And normally, I do not get on high alert about stuff because I can watch the radar and see what's going on. But last night, it was headed right towards us, man. And I went outside and I was watching the lightning and the thunder, and then all this, it sounded like it was coming towards us, and all of a sudden, you could hear the lightning and the thunder. I mean, the lightning was crazy, but the thunder was going kind of south of us, and it went in Barfield and Christiana. So we've had friends that lived in the Christiana area, and they had 6 or 7 big trees down. So it was rough, man. Those are scary. I told my wife, I'm 50 years old, and I've never seen it rain like it rained all night last night. I couldn't believe it. And then the thunder and lightning was unbelievable. I've never seen that in my 50 years.
Yeah, it's a scary deal. There's no doubt about that. Billy, I hate to ask this. What was your flight like?
It honestly wasn't bad. I asked, luckily, about 5 or 6 people to say prayers that I made it. Because, I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen, seriously. And I think we got lucky that the attendants told us that we got off just in time to get out of Nashville and go, northeast away from it. I mean, if I was flying south, I might have been canceled, who knows, or west.
Oh, no, there's no might have to it. It would have been.
Yeah. So luckily I made it. And we, usually on your flights, you don't fly until probably 10, 15 minutes after the scheduled time. But we got off right away. So luckily, we were fine. So made it somehow. But yeah. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, you're fortunate. A friend of mine flew in from San Diego and described it as one of the worst flights he's ever been on. I believe it.
Yeah. No, ours wasn't without turbulence, but I'm just glad we, made it safely.
Yeah, I'm not into a lot of turbulence.
Billy, where are you at? Are you in the Caddyshack? Are you in the Caddyshack ballroom? Where are you?
I'm at a buddy's house. I'm like in their kitchen, right? I'm sitting at it's kind of the middle table. So,
Kelly, here's where I am.
Oh, we know, George. We've seen it over and over and over, and that's old news.
It is old news, but it's the only news. It's the only news I have at this point.
George, do you have some information? Have you got a new gig going on?
Who?
You know what I'm talking about? A new gig? Did you sign something today?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Are you doing anything with the Predators? Or not the Predators, but the arena team?
No. Now let me say this. I'm going to do Sunday.
Okay.
I guess Poggi has had this thing where they do like a guest announcer, like they had Pete Weber working with
Right.
Eli the first week, and supposedly I'm going to do Sunday. Why did something come out?
No. I just Poggy called and told me that. He said, "Y'all,
Oh, okay, yeah.
you're gonna do the game this Sunday." And I didn't know if is that just a one time deal or is that more?
I would assume it's a one-time deal.
When's the last time you?
Are
When's
you
the last?
color?
Hold on, Billy. What were you going to ask?
Well, yeah, Kelly. I think Kelly was asking, "Are you doing color?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
I was going to ask, when's the last time you did a football game?
Georgia Tech. You know, that may not be true. I did some CSS stuff, your source for cheap sports. Yes. Pathetically cheap, by the way.
That's why they're not in
awesome.
business anymore.
Well, their parent company isn't any better.
Which is it? Is it Bally? It's not Bally, is it?
No, that would be Comcast. Piece of cow dung.
We're gonna get into that later.
Oh, we're damn sure gonna get into it at 3:00 because Bally's fired back last night with a press release that sort of confirmed some of the stuff the Athletic was putting out there. We'll get to that with Danny. Danny and I are loaded for bear.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm loaded for bear with the update, which is
that's wonderful.
Lori Burnett Leland. You can visit her online at mortgageladyyusa.com. All right, NBA. Pacers are upset about the non-foul calls again. Well, before that, George, let's get to the Titans stuff. You were at the Titans facility today. I know we're going to have Terry on, but anything that surprised you maybe from that?
To me, the big common theme was that they rushed to tell us how hard Traylon Burks is working. Now, I don't know if that was sort of a pre-decided theme, but that came out a bunch. And look, that's wonderful. And the problem is he's now at a point where nobody gives a damn. It's simply produce on the field, stay healthy. And that's the way I'm saying it is ugly because I don't want it to sound like he's faked injuries. You know, injuries oftentimes are luck. Wrong place, wrong time. And he's been in the wrong place, wrong time for a good while. And this is the year that he's got to put up.
You can't make the club
in somebody's tub, in yours or anybody else's, for that matter.
So we will have Terry on, of course, to get to the Titans stuff. But the Knicks last night beat the Pacers. They now lead the series 2-0. And really the story, again, is the Pacers being upset with not even the lack of calls, but over 78 calls and the non-calls that were not made in favor of them. Rick Carlisle said the team had identified 29 questionable refereeing decisions from Game 1. The source said the Pacers then identified 49 different plays from Game 2 that they felt were incorrectly called or not called at all and submitted them to the NBA office.
So did either one of you see the play that really led to the explosion?
I did not.
I watched the game. I don't know which. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the officials call, and this is in the fourth quarter, a double dribble on the big kid, Hartenstein.
Right,
well,
I saw that.
It's very obvious. I remember saying, what is that?
Yeah,
and when they went to replay, of course, they discovered there was no double dribble. And so what's the word I'm trying to use? Not reneged, but they changed the call.
Overturned the call.
Overturned, thank you. So Carlisle, the coach of the Indiana Pacers, who is a very good coach, he erupted, and he was looking to get tossed. And so a couple of minutes later, another call was made, and he gets right in the official's face and starts clapping in his face. The official told him to hit the showers, and I suspect that Rick Carlisle told him, why don't you kiss my butt?
Not in those words.
Oh, no, I think, but I will say this. If I'm Adam Silver, I'm a little embarrassed that this crew appears to be this shaky. If I'm him, when they go to Indiana, I make an administrative decision. I'm going to have a different crew in there. By the way, the Knicks with all their injuries, even though I've kind of become a Knicks Madison Square Garden fan, I don't think they have any chance to win this series. Even though they're up 2-0, they got so many injuries now. And if Brunson doesn't play tomorrow night, they have no chance in Indianapolis.
No shot. And I will say this. I mean, I kind of agree because there were some calls that should have been made. But I'll also say this: if you're Indiana, hit your free throws, and
That
then
would
at the
help.
end of the game, and then at the end of the game, grab a defensive rebound. I mean, the New York Knicks were shooting the ball, and every time they were getting it was one time they had like 3 or 4 extra shots. So just do the fundamentals of the game, and then you don't have to worry about all the fouls not being called.
Well, one of the things that Reggie Miller pointed out, and he's right about this, remember, he's a former Pacer and a really good one. Indiana led by 10 at halftime. They sort of assumed coming out of the locker room that Brunson was not coming back, and they were talking a lot of smack. And the Knicks shoved it down their throat. But I'm not convinced. With the injuries the Knicks now have, I don't see how they can win this series.
I'm with you. Brunson has to play next game. I know they're up 2-0, but it doesn't feel like a comfortable 2-0.
Well, I wonder if you make the decision, Billy, to hold him out of the games in Indy. And basically say, look, we're going to try to get him healthy in time for Game 5, where we got a pretty good shot to win in New York. That's what I'd do.
That's a good point.
Sure. That is a good point.
Let them kind of, if they tie it up, they tie it up, but then you have them at home for, for Game 5 there. I don't hate that. So that's what happened last night. Tonight at 7, the Cavs are in Boston to play the Celtics in Game 2.
Good luck.
I don't see it for the Cavs. I think we talked about that. 9:30 tonight, Mavericks are in Oklahoma City to play the Thunder. And my question is, is this a must-win for the Mavs? I mean, do they go down 2-0?
Fairly close. I mean, it's fairly close. You're down 2-0. You got, you've taken on water. The problem with Dallas is that Luka Duka and Kyrie Irving, it feels like in this series, have to combine for about 60. And that's a lot of pressure on two guys. Maxi Kleva will pick a game once every week and a half where he hits his threes. Other than that, they have no idea where any offense is coming from.
And it's a long series. So, like I said, you're going to have to do that for 4 games if you're, if you're the Mavs there. So that's what we got tonight in the NBA. NHL, another good night. The Panthers battled back after getting dominated in Game 1, and they dominated last night over the Bruins 6-1. I mean, putting up 6 goals is pretty impressive if you're the Panthers. Barkov had a couple of goals, so they tie that series up, headed back up to Austin. Felt like headed to Boston. Felt like they needed that one if you're the Panthers. So they get that at home. Canucks, they beat the Oilers last night.
Edmonton. They're up 4-1 and get beat 5-4. What in the world?
Happens, man.
I'm pissed off because I had them. It looked like I was going to go 2-0, and so what?
Well, let me ask you this: as a Preds fan, and I mean, we all want the Preds to win, but obviously they're out. Would you rather see the Canucks win this series or lose this series?
I would like to see Edmonton go a ways because I really like watching Connor McDavid, but there's something about them that's not quite at the level they ought to be, and I don't know what it is. Last night, they just gagged.
Yeah. I was watching a little bit of that last night, and offensively, those two teams, you can tell, way out of the Preds league.
There's no compare.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. there's no comparison between Edmonton and the Preds. Now, in the series that just concluded, I don't know that I'd go there. It's not like Vancouver had any big explosion against the Preds. I would say they're fairly equal. And look, I want to feel that way. I know in my heart it's a series the Preds could have won. And truthfully, it didn't feel like they knew how to win it.
No. And, you wonder if the Oilers feel comfortable playing a team like or the Canucks, rather, if they feel more comfortable playing a team like the Oilers as opposed to maybe getting sucked into the Preds style, which kind of they did. That happened. So that's what happened last night in the NHL. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Rangers in Carolina to play the Hurricanes. Rangers are up 2-0. So Canes in danger tonight, going down 3-0. 9:30, Avalanche and Stars. Avs lead that one 1-0. That's in Dallas tonight. So that's what we've got there. And by the way, the Canes are turning to a rookie goaltender tonight for Game 3. Apparently, I don't even want to try to pronounce his name, but they are turning to a rookie goaltender there tonight. In another piece of NHL news, the Maple Leafs have fired their coach Sheldon Keefe after their first round exit, and that's probably some frustration there. If you're the Maple Leafs, it's probably tough for Coach Keefe there, but I mean that's tough living up there if you're not winning postseason games there.
Yeah, it's a pretty rabid deal. I mean, you see when they're in the playoffs, just as many people outside watching. The truth of it is, they shouldn't have won that series. On paper, they're not as good as Boston, but there's an expectation level in that city that's huge.
Also in the NBA, Charles Lee has agreed to a 4-year deal as the Hornets head coach.
Good luck. He's going to need it.
Stackhouse didn't.
There were some kids Sunday at an Easter party with Greek Easter, and one of them had a Charlotte Hornets ball, and I just turned to him and I said, "You'll never be a winner playing with that thing."
How do you get them over that hump, George? I mean,
I don't know. Because to be honest, they don't feel like they're anywhere close.
Wow, that's just crazy to me.
I guess the word is relevant.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. So after the break, we're going to Knoxville. John Wilkerson has been involved in University of Tennessee athletics for years. He is their baseball play-by-play voice. We will talk to him about the big series starting tomorrow night here against Vandy. So stick around. We got a lot coming. Terry McCormick will join us to talk about the Titans media scrum earlier today. And then Danny Evans, hopefully to rip on Comcast. If he doesn't, I will.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
As some of you may already know, we're making some changes in our programming. Simply put, beginning Monday, May the 21st, and yes, that date did have to change, we will go into a 4 to 6 p.m. time slot to do this podcast, but we will also simulcast it on radio on 95.9 FM. And for those of you who watch in the Rutherford, Williamson County area, on 107.9 as well. The purpose of this is very simple. I want to be able to take phone calls. While I've enjoyed the podcast format, I have greatly missed the fact that I'm not able to talk to you all. And I don't feel like I have quite the pulse that I used to for that reason. If you go back through my 30 years as a broadcaster, I always enjoyed taking phone calls. I'm looking forward to getting back to that. So mark the date, Monday, May the 21st, 4 to 6 p.m., and thanks for all the support. Okay, we are back. As a lot of you know, the number one ranked team in the country in college baseball is now Tennessee, depending on what poll you look at. The Vols come in here tomorrow night for the beginning of a 3-game series with Vandy, and 6 o'clock is the Friday night start time. Then I believe both Saturday and Sunday are at 2 o'clock Central Time. Thrilled to have University of Tennessee baseball play-by-play voice John Wilkerson joining us over there in the right-hand corner. John, how are you?
Doing well, George. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice.
Well, always good to get the invite to join you. Man, we've both been at this for quite some time.
I was thinking about that. It'll bring the joke of we started during the Willard Fillmore administration.
100%.
Does anybody know Willard Fillmore, by the way? He was once our president. John, Is this team good enough to win it all?
Bottom line, I think so. Now, granted, there are areas where you would like to see this team be a little bit more consistent, and you can't help but wonder the fact that they go into each weekend and normally, as opposed to a starter, they have an opener. You've got Chris Stamos, who's been the Friday starter for Tennessee since A.J. Russell and A.J. Causey have both been into that Friday slot and then out of. He's somebody who can face a handful of batters and be pulled in the first inning, or he can go 3 innings. It comes down to just situation and circumstance. And then on Sunday, same thing. Xander Sechrest was masterful against Georgia with more than 6 shutout innings, but he's also somebody who, if, for instance, there's a threat by the other side in Game 3, then they might make a move to the bullpen early. So you have one true starter at this point in Drew Beam, and other than that, you're just kind of seeing exactly what hand you're dealt from one start to another.
And that'll be an interesting deal if and when they get to Omaha. John, was the key, not that it was a turnaround, I don't mean it that way, but maybe a point where everybody there said, whoa, they really are this good, when they went to Lexington and won 2 out of 3?
Well, that was certainly their biggest opportunity and their biggest accomplishment to this point, because this has been a team that has just found a way to win. So their consistency is something that speaks for itself. I mean, for instance, this is week 9. They've won 7 straight SEC series, and 6 of those series have gone down to Sunday or Game 3, and they've won 5 of those. They haven't been swept. They've swept twice. And so this is a team that's used to things being on the line. And so they have a grittiness about it. They have a toughness. And the fact that they lost the opener, it's interesting. they haven't normally been a team that lost on Friday and then had to win Saturday and Sunday, but they've done that 3 times. The trip to Kentucky was the 3rd time that they did it. And even though Auburn hasn't been anything to any great shakes this season, the fact that they did it on the road earlier this year, I think is something that benefited them greatly. So when the series is on the line, this is a team that has found a way to win, just like trailing 3-0 at Florida and then erupting for 11 runs in the 6th inning to eventually run rule the Gators and get that trip to Gainesville.
That is pretty explosive. Tell me this. When Vitello took the Tennessee job, Vandy was the state power. They were getting all the pitching. Heck, they were even getting kids from Knoxville. How did he start to try to chip away at that margin?
Well, I believe that Tony, from the time he was named head coach of the Volunteers, has had a vision for what he wanted this program to be in all facets, whether it be on the field, between the lines, on the mound, at the plate. He's known exactly what he was trying to piece together. He's had remarkable consistency in his staff, which I think is also a huge plus. This is year 7 for him. Frank Anderson and Josh Elander have been along for every step along the way. And when you have that kind of consistency, you know exactly what you're looking for when it comes to pitchers, whether it's to start a game, handle the middle innings, or finish a game. You know what exactly you're going to be instructing your hitters to do. They know what they're going to be working on from one game to the next as they improve and develop. So I think while the portal obviously plays a part, they've done such a good job of bringing in talent that they've developed themselves, because while you have a lot of juniors on this team and some seniors, a lot of these juniors, especially some of their key performers, are guys that were here as freshmen. And that itself is pretty rare these days. But I just think the consistency of the program, top to bottom, start to finish, has been the biggest difference maker, because Tennessee has just simply been able to build one year to the next and build on experiences like going to Omaha 2 of the last 3 years.
It also sounds like he's gotten Knoxville totally behind him, which was not necessarily the case before he got there.
Oh, there was some lean times for sure. In fact, it's pretty remarkable. It was earlier this season that he notched his 100th win in SEC play. And he's more than 30 games over 500 in conference play. And if you just go for what Tennessee was the years before he took over, it was far from that. I mean, his first year, Tennessee was expected to win 7 SEC games. In fact, actually, the number was set at 6.5, and they went out and they won 12. So he has exceeded expectations every step along the way. It took him 2 years to get Tennessee back into the NCAA tournament. And since they've been back in, they haven't missed. There's, again, a remarkable consistency in what this team does, what the goal is. He doesn't like talking about, hey, here's who we have this weekend. He wants to talk about the team that you're playing on Tuesday. And then he doesn't want to hear anything about the weekend opponent until it's time to start that series. And when it comes to Vanderbilt, you're right. This is a program that set the bar high in terms of Tim Corbin and what he's done. So hard to believe it's 22 years for Corbin in Nashville. Seems like just the other day he was finishing off a first-year sweep against Tennessee to crush the Vols' hopes of getting the NCAA tournament that year. But he's been remarkable. But Tennessee has been able to turn the tables a little bit. And I think it's just been based on what Tennessee is able to do at the plate and get accomplished on the mound. And I know Vanderbilt still has the talent. It's just, unfortunately, the struggles have been pretty strong for the Commodores over this last month or so.
So, Kelly, when you hear John Wilkerson, you can hear a broadcaster's voice.
Absolutely. And you can hear the excitement in his voice as well, man. He's excited about it. I like it.
Say hello, John. This is Kelly Holcomb, who, of course, starred at Middle and later played 46 years in the National Football League.
I wish I'd had more money. How you doing, John?
Great. Hey, it'd be a great pension for
game,
you.
Correct?
Say that again?
Didn't you have a 500-yard passing game? Or was it 400?
It was close. No, it was close. It was close. But, everybody brings that game up to me. And the only thing I remember about that game is we lost. So I don't really care,
Yes.
Everybody. Well, I had to go up. I had to go up to Youngstown for a charity thing that I had an autograph signed for, and that's all everybody wanted to talk about. I'm like, we lost the game. What does it matter? Let's move on.
Sorry to bring it up, but it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
John,
So,
who knew he'd be so touchy?
Well, I mean, that's what you're in it for. You're in it to produce. You're in it to win games. And, you know, it doesn't matter how many yards I threw for or how we did offensively. We didn't win the game. So, hey, I know that George said something to you earlier about your team. Is this the best ball club at UT that you've seen in a while? I know a couple of years ago you had a really good ball team, and everybody thought that they were going to go all the way, and they didn't even make it to Omaha. And I think they ran roughshod over the SEC tournament. So is this the best ball club that Tony Vitello's had so far?
Well, again, I would lean to the 2022 team as the best team.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
again, they came up short against Notre Dame in the Super Regional. You're right. It was the biggest margin to win the Eastern Division. It was the biggest margin to win the regular season title, and they never trailed as they won their first ever SEC tournament in Hoover. But again, that team came down to a day where it had to get it done in the last game against the Fighting Irish and just didn't get it done. This is a team that has been scrappy because they lost their first series in SEC play at Alabama. And we know the Crimson Tide right now has also been facing an uphill climb. And so that's something they benefited from. And that's one of the things that stands out about this team. They've got a number of different ways to win. While they are second in the nation and lead the SEC in home runs, they can win a game 3-2. They can rally for a victory. So they play a really sound defense. But while statistically they don't match up to that 2022 team, and few teams will, this is a squad that now has the second most home runs in any season by a group of Tennessee Volunteers. And I just think they have a confidence about them that serves them very well.
So, John, I asked a guy the other day about Tony Vitello, and what I know you said some things earlier about him, but what do you think? Because he seems like the perfect guy in this new age of college sports with the NIL, with the transfer portal. He's kind of rolled into it. That's just the way it is. Let's go get it. Let's go get players. What kind of guy is Tony Vitello, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's his loyalty, I think, that impresses me the most because he has been all in for Tennessee from the moment that he put on that orange blazer and he was introduced as the head coach. There have been early opportunities, big programs that have given him a call to say, why don't you come coach our team? And he has been tried and true. That doesn't mean there wouldn't be opportunities he wouldn't explore. But I just think that he is very appreciative to Tennessee giving him this first shot to lead a team. And he loves the guys he works with. He loves the university he's a part of, and also is very appreciative for the coaching community that is in Knoxville. So I think he's somebody who's very transparent. I don't think you have to worry whether he's pleased or displeased. And he's somebody who's going to tell you exactly what he's thinking, because it's all about making sure that you're working in the right direction. Everybody has an oar and is rowing towards the same goal. So I think he gets guys to buy in, and he is somebody doesn't really suffer a lot when it comes to fools, and he's all about doing what it takes to help Tennessee accomplish new goals.
Talk a little bit about all the time that you've been there. Who is the best player you've seen come through the program?
Well, he's going into Cooperstown this year, and Todd Helton.
I knew you was going to say Todd. I played Todd Helton in high school. We played him in the state semifinals at Neyland Stadium when I was in high school, and we ended up beating those guys. So that's my claim to fame on Todd Helton.
That's a pretty good one. But yeah, Todd was just remarkable. And I've, earlier this year, Tennessee was at Auburn, and you see the only other SEC player, and this is going to change drastically over these next few years, but Frank Thomas was the first to go in from Auburn. Todd Helton is the second, and they have the Frank Thomas statue, as they should, right outside of Plainsman Park. I think that when they put the Todd Helton statue together for the refurbished stadium that's now in the works in Knoxville, they need to have two statues, and that would be Todd as a hitter and Todd as a pitcher. What people forget, Todd was remarkable on the mound, still holds the record in the Southeastern Conference for consecutive scoreless innings. So he was just fantastic. He started game 1 of the 95 College World Series against Clemson, which was the team everybody thought was going to win it. And he didn't. He threw 23 balls the entire game. It was a complete game victory. And that was just kind of the competitor Todd was. So truly outstanding. Doesn't mean there haven't been other greats, because Chris Burke was remarkable. Todd wrote the history books for the University of Tennessee. Chris Burke rewrote a number of those, and it's good to know that Chris is going to be in Nashville for a couple of calls this weekend. Always fun to cross paths with him. But Todd Helton would be at the top of the list. R.A. Dickey, of course, a proud Nashvillian. He would be on the list. You can go with Chris Burke and several others. Tennessee's been very blessed, especially of late with now this new pipeline since Tony Vitello took over. And of course, Tim Corbin has a raft of Commodores that have gone on to great success in the majors. But Tennessee's now produced 5 major leaguers in the 7 years that Coach Vitello has been in place.
Hey, John, when I see Berkey tomorrow night, I will remind him again, he ripped my heart out as a Braves fan.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that, Kelly.
It's okay. Well, I was just looking at some of the stuff on here, and I know you do baseball, but you also, it seems like UT's got everything going. They're really good in football right now, which has been kind of down for years, but Josh Heupel has risen them to another level. Basketball, men's basketball, they got a new basketball coach. Baseball's going well, but I'm a big Rick Barnes fan, and I know you do some stuff, for basketball. So, what are your thoughts on Rick Barnes? Because I really like Rick Barnes. I've heard some stuff about Rick Barnes that I really like, and I wish he could get over the hump and win him a national championship. I hope he can. But what are your thoughts on Rick?
Big fan of Coach Barnes. The narrative, of course, when he came here, that we were simply a parachute in Knoxville for his escape from Texas after he'd been dismissed by the Longhorns. But you look at what he's done in 9 years, and you can make the case that he is the best basketball coach Tennessee has had. My personal vote would be no more than second, because Ray Mears created so much with what he did in his time leading Tennessee hoops, and it was such a different basketball world then, because you only got one into the NCAA tournament. But anyhow, I just think Coach Barnes is fantastic, because it's not about what he has accomplished on the basketball court, but it's also what drives him in terms of just making sure that he has he lends a hand, or he's available to help mold young men into outstanding citizens. So big fan of Coach Barnes for so many reasons. I too would love to see him kick down that door, get back to the Final Four, which Tennessee has never done, and win that elusive national championship. But I just appreciate the way he goes about it.
John, appreciate you coming on. I got one for you before I let you go. College baseball specifically has grown a lot. There's going to be a game on ESPN2 this weekend in the series on Sunday, SEC Network on Saturday. How fun has it been for you to see the SEC baseball game grow, but also the coverage of it and who's talking about it, and people like Chris Burke and all kinds of different people, Kyle Peterson, who really promote the game? How cool has it been for you to see that growth specifically in the SEC?
I think it's fantastic, because you have the chance to watch every single game. And to think that there were times that you could go a season and not have but maybe 1 or 2 games that wound up on television, and you weren't exactly sure where you were going to find them. But now there's the consistency, everything available that's being streamed, the SEC Network Plus, that every home SEC team is able to provide that kind of coverage. It's phenomenal, simply for the fact that it's anybody around the world can watch their SEC team compete, or NCAA team compete for the most part. And to think that, for instance, in 2022, covering games late into the early morning hours while Tennessee was winning the SEC tournament down in Hoover, we're getting folks that are chiming in that they're watching actually in the early morning of a British vacation. That they were at this outpost in Europe. And so for those that literally can follow the balls around the world, as well as, again, any team, it's just truly remarkable. So it's a fantastic growth, because it's just more and more people get to watch these incredible athletes go out there and compete.
John, first of all, thank you for taking the time to come on. I'll get there early tomorrow night. Come see you, and let's compare AARP cards.
Absolutely, George. I look forward to it. Thank you so much, my friend.
Me too. John Wilkerson joining us from Knoxville, and we thank him for doing that. Good broadcaster, good guy. Look forward to seeing him tomorrow night. After the break, another good guy, Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, talking Titans in May.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen printed t-shirts, laser engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We are back, and we're about to be joined by Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com. Titans held kind of a media scrum today, not only with Coach Brian Callahan, but with, I guess, all of the assistant coaches and quarterback Will Levis. Terry, am I right? This is totally different than the way Vrabel operated.
It's a lot different in a lot of aspects. I mean, the assistant coaches were made available periodically. I think it was every 2 weeks during the season last year, which is kind of the customary league rule. But one thing that had hardly ever been done, and never been done under the Vrabel administration, and hardly ever done under any circumstances, was they made Zach Woodfin, who is their director of their sports medicine, their head of their training staff. They made him available to us to talk and answer questions. So that was certainly something new, along with meeting a lot of new coaches who are on this staff and a few familiar faces who are back, guys like Tracy Rocker, Frank Bush, and Steve Jackson.
So one of the common themes today, it seemed to me, was everybody who had a part in the play that it was applicable rushed to tell us about Traylon Burke's work ethic. Was that we're trying to build up his confidence? Kind of give me what you thought there.
Well, I think this is, obviously an important year for Traylon Burks. He's struggled with injuries and hadn't produced enough his first couple of years to the liking of what you'd want a first-round draft pick to do. And I think Brian Callahan, certainly is optimistic or wants to pull the best out of Traylon Burks going forward. I think a lot of people, to the naked eye, it looks like he's been knocked down a few pegs, obviously with the signing of Calvin Ridley and with the impending arrival of Tyler Boyd once he officially signs his contract. So to me, it's a situation where Traylon Burks is in a make or break year. And I tend to believe Brian Callahan when he says that Traylon Burks is working hard, because I think Traylon Burks knows he has to work hard.
It also sounded like there's one more move to be made in free agency, the safety position.
Yeah, I would say there's probably at least one more move, George, maybe two. They're going to have to add a safety. They'd probably like to have another edge rusher, a veteran to come in and add to Harold Landry and Arden Key and Rashad Weaver there. And then wouldn't surprise me if they added a veteran tight end or a veteran right tackle, depending on how it kind of shakes out. And once they see what they've got in those tackles, tight end, they may need a body just for numbers purposes, because right now they only have 3 plus a couple of undrafted rookies who are coming in.
So are there for you obvious names, leaders in the clubhouse of who to look for as their free agency continues?
Well, I think at safety, most people are looking at Justin Simmons, who's been an all-pro caliber player. Marcus May is another name. Quandre Diggs. Those are some names that have been out there. The safety market is kind of soft right now. There's not a lot of guys going out and getting big contracts at that position. And I think the Titans have kind of waited this market out, and they'll see kind of how it goes over the next week and the course of the rest of the offseason. But I do think that probably there'll be a veteran name that'll pop and be in here well before training camp.
How much money have they got left cap-wise?
I think they're still in pretty good shape. The Boyd deal was a 1-year deal. That's what was reported. So I think there's still, around between $15 and $20 million probably still that they can spend.
So here's the last thing I'm going to ask. No question, this is the best wide receiver core the Tennessee Titans have ever had. And frankly, by a pretty good amount. When you look at DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, now Boyd, if Burks is the fourth in that group, is this an offense that's going to go 5 wide at times?
I think they're going to go 4 and 5 wide a whole lot, George. I think 3 wide is going to be their base set. I think the days of lining up in 13 personnel with 3 tight ends is over, unless it's 4th down and a foot, or they're right on the goal line or something. I think you're going to see this team open it up and come into the 21st century offensively, George. You're going to throw the football around and try to pick up chunks of yards that way, rather than 3 yards in a cloud of dust and doing their best impression of the 1986 Giants.
Nice. Where's Mark Bavaro when you need him?
Mark Bavaro, Joe Morris, no need to apply.
Kelly, your witness.
So you talked about some free agents. Are they? I mean, do they feel like they're good at tight end, Terry? I mean, do they feel that way? And I told George. I mean, you were right on track with what you said, man. I didn't think about it, but this offense just is not highly motivated to get the ball to the tight end. I mean, they're going to give it to them sometimes, but they want those guys to block and be good route runners and run guys off for these speedy guys they've got. But have they talked anything about getting another tight end?
Well, I haven't heard anything definitive yet on that front, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them add one more veteran body for camp. I mean, you've got Chigakonkwo and you've got Josh Wiley, and then you've got Thomas Odukoya, who is an international player. So there's really not a lot of experience in that tight end room. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see a veteran guy come in maybe on a minimum 1-year deal just to add another body and another veteran presence to that room. Somebody that's been in the league 4, 5, 6 years, because I think in almost every room that you go to in an NFL locker room, you like to have at least one guy who's been there a long time and done it and you can draw on his experience if nothing else.
So Terry, I've been looking, and I'm not very technically sound. I'm a little bit better than George, because George had to do something the other day and he couldn't send it to me, which is really funny. I'll tell you sometime. But did they pick up another free agent quarter? Have they picked up a young quarterback?
Yes, they've actually are going to bring in at least for a look-see at the mini camp, because they bring in these guys for tryouts all the time. But they're bringing in Mike DeLello, I guess. I'm not sure how you say his name.
Yeah, that's what George says. Yeah, from Austin Peay. Yeah,
originally at Middle and then transferred to Austin Peay and spent some time there. So he's going to get a look
show.
this weekend. What was that?
He said a friend of the shows. It's the friend. He's a friend of the show. Terry, when I was playing, I used to get so irritated at mini camps, and I don't know the collective bargaining agreement anymore. But is this a rookie mini camp? Because I remember when a new coaching staff came in, we could have 3 mini camps and then OTAs, which was absolutely absurd to me. But I know they've changed all that stuff. But is this just a rookie mini camp, or is this a whole team mini camp?
On Friday, I think it's just going to be the rookies, or at least that's what we're going to get to see. The veterans have already been in, going through parts of the off-season program. I think they're in phase 2 right now. Phase 3, they'll be able to ease a little bit more in. And then over the next coming, few days and weeks and whatnot, you'll see the rookies be integrated in with the vets.
Okay, so my last thing, since they gave you access to the medical staff, how is Will Levis coming along, and how are the other guys that were injured after the year that maybe had some issues or maybe had to have surgery? How is that coming along for some of the injured guys?
Well, they didn't go into specifics as far as, how this guy's knee is doing or how that guy's shoulder is doing.
Okay.
But Levis spoke to us, and he said that he credits the training staff with the work that they've put in to get him right, and he feels like he's healthier than he's been in quite a while, he said. So I think that's a good sign there for Levis, and a feather in the cap of the new training staff. Actually, some of them are holdovers from the Vrabel era, but the new guy who's in charge, Zach Woodfin, is new here.
Terry, we talked about it earlier with Treylon Burks and what the pickup, and I'm just forgetting his name, the guy we just showed.
Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd.
With the pickup of Tyler Boyd, what does that mean for him? And is this a move to put some pressure on him to say, hey, we picked him up. We're not saying he's our guy, but we kind of are. I mean, we can't so far rely on you to stay healthy. What do you think this means for Treylon Burks?
Well, if you read between the lines, I think it kind of puts Burks on notice that it's now or never to get it going. Brian Callahan basically said that, Tyler Boyd has made a living as a slot receiver, and that's probably the primary role that he's going to continue to man. I think what they want Treylon Burks to do is be well-versed not only at the X and Z positions that are manned by Hopkins and Ridley, but also work some in that slot and kind of be the next man in once one of those guys need a break. Because, as much as they're going to be throwing the football now, you're not going to see receivers playing 60 and 70 snaps in a game. They're going to mix it up and rotate, and Burks will still get a few snaps here and there, but I think they'll spread it around a little bit.
Last thing from me, have you noticed a different confidence from Will Levis? You got to, hear him speak today, and it was kind of said a funny story about how his first encounter with Brian Callahan. But what did you notice from him speaking, and did you feel maybe pressure on him, that he feels the pressure, or what did you get out of him today?
Well, I think he's always kind of shown that confidence that you want to see out of your starting quarterback. He's a guy that, he's comfortable in front of the media. He's comfortable, discussing what's going on and being as transparent as he can be in terms of information that he gives out. I think, he has the right personality that you want for a quarterback. If he's feeling the pressure, he hasn't let on, but certainly there will be some pressure on him now that they have surrounded him with weapons and presumably shored up the protection, there will be some pressure on him to, fall in and really get it done this year to show them that he can be their guy going forward.
Terry, guess what's coming up around 3 o'clock?
The Yankees?
No, not on this show. Danny Evans will join us, and it will be Bash Comcast time.
Yes. How long has it been in your team, George? I saw the team last night.
Well, this is day number 9 that we're being held hostage.
Is this going to be sort of like the Iran hostage situation from back in the late 70s?
Oh, it's not going to be like it. It's going to be exactly that way. I'm going to see if I can use the old Nightline, the opening. Dun, 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 dun. America held hostage by Comcast.
76.
Yeah. Well, some news got out yesterday in the Detroit Free Press that jives with what The Athletic reported, about a week ago. And that is that Comcast and the NFL have one thing in common. They are money grubby and they want your last nickel.
And this comes as a shock to you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
We've told him that they don't really care, Terry, until thousands and thousands upon thousands complain. They don't really care about George.
We're going to make them care.
Okay. Good luck.
Terry, thank you as always.
All right. Good luck with your Braves, George.
Thank you. Good luck with your bullpen. And Kelly,
that was a good line.
Good luck to you in the future as well.
Can I leave now?
Okay. If you so desire, you'll be docked pay, but I would think at this point, it would be fractions, infinitesimal.
Okay, George, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, after the break, we'll go stat of the day. Danny will probably get in the middle of it because he's the only one that seems capable of answering the questions. And then we'll talk about the deal involving Comcast and Bally's, and we will ask the question, why the hell doesn't MLB have enough of a brain to lift the blackout on the extra innings package? They say they want to grow the game. This doesn't feel like it, does it?
Nashville, get ready for the greatest show on turf. Electrifying, high-octane, non-stop spring football action. Starting at only $30. Don't miss the season opener this April 27th at Municipal Auditorium.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fisher. The Nashville Cats are bringing arena football back to Nashville.
Grab your tickets now at thenashvillecats.com and be part of the action.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Top of the hour on a Danny Evans Thursday. We're talking a little baseball coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by John English, Antique Sports and Cards. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, we're going baseball today. Look at that. Elly De La Cruz's 21 stolen bases are the second most by a Red in Cincinnati's first 36 games of a season. Who is first?
Okay, Kelly, the first name for me that comes to mind would be the Hall of Famer Joe Morgan, who could fly. But I'm sitting there looking at Danny, and Danny's like, I don't know. Kelly,
Danny
I would
knows.
assume, yes, I would assume that you'll be of no help in this.
Well, I'm not going to be of any help because I'm gonna just hand it off to Danny.
Okay, well that was good. Danny, who was the first name that came to mind for you?
Billy Hamilton.
Oh, I like yours better than mine. Billy.
And that was really a text from Kelly. So good job, Kel.
Yeah, I'm sure it
Thank
was.
Danny.
Yeah.
Hey, next time I get your number, yeah, that'd be great.
Kelly, tell us what you know about Billy Hamilton.
Me?
Yeah.
His name at this point.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Billy, is it Billy Hamilton?
No.
Dion.
Oh,
Hey, guys.
Wow.
Guys, Dion was a darn good player. I recruited him, trying to get him when he was a free agent to come play for the White Sox. And it was between us and the Yankees, and we really wanted him.
You know, Danny, when he started his baseball career, it was a pretty speedy twosome. Otis Nixon leading off, Dion batting second. You can cause a lot of havoc with that kind of speed.
Yeah, he could really go get the ball in the outfield too. And as you might think from a defensive back, yes, Kelly, I can gravitate to this.
You can, yeah. I like it.
He really was aggressive and uber reckless in the outfield. I love the way he played the outfield.
Okay, Kelly, let me make clear up front. Danny knows what's coming. It's Comcast sucks hour.
Well, you know, is this going to be the last time this happens?
No. Oh, good
I
Lord,
mean,
no.
me and Billy are over this.
Certainly not.
You know,
I don't care what either one of you think. So here's what has come out. About a day after the split, where they broke into the Preds game late in the third period in the playoff game against Vancouver, it got out in The Athletic that it looked like Comcast was trying to lowball, which doesn't surprise me at all, because if you are a Comcast subscriber, and I am, if you don't pay really close attention to your bill, every month they just add a couple of extra dollars just to screw you over. I'm not holding back whatsoever here. Now, yesterday, the Detroit Free Press put out a story, and the author of the story was Jared Ramsey. And what had happened was that Diamond Sports, which is Bally's, put this out here. Diamond Sports is arguing that Xfinity is looking to strike a deal that would place Bally Sports on an additional tier of a cable package, forcing fans to cough up extra money to watch their favorite teams. Well, now that doesn't surprise me at all because, like I said, the NFL and Comcast, one thing they both have in common, they want the last nickel that you possess. You like that? I'm getting after it. But, Danny, here's the part I don't understand. Got to help me with this. So baseball sits here and talks about, we need more fans. We need new fans. Okay? I'm as tier one a fan as there is. I buy the extra innings package. And yet the Reds and the Braves are both blacked out. And the logic behind it is ignorant. In Nashville, Tennessee, probably the best I can do is go to Cincinnati once, go to Atlanta a couple of times during a regular season. Why is nobody in the commissioner's office saying, look, while this is going on, we are going to relax this stupid rule?
George, first of all, it's great to be back with you guys, Kelly and Mr. Derek. George, I'll be honest with you, and I shared this with you a few years ago when I first moved to Dyersville to be with the Field of Dreams project. I went on my extra innings package like you, and all of a sudden, 6 teams in Iowa were not available. I couldn't watch their games. The Cubs, the White Sox, the Brewers, the Twins, the Cardinals, and the Royals, none of which are closer than 4 hours. And I just went, whoa, wait a second. I'm real techie, George. I've got friends in New York at the MLB facilities. I called them, and they said, there's no workaround. So my immediate reaction was very different than one that I've ever had working with a team. I've never had 20% of the games blacked out. And the frustrating part for me was, like you, I am a tier one fan. I am absolutely crazy about the sport. And all of a sudden, my best answer I got was, you can watch the game 90 minutes after its conclusion live. And to that, I just went, I don't watch recorded games. That's not what I want to see. People ask me all the time, if there's anything you could change about the game, what would you change? And people expect to hear the extra inning rule, the guy on second, pitchers hitting, stuff like that. No. For me, it's the blackout rule, because what I found, George, is living in Iowa, people had no feel for those 6 teams who just happened to be the 6 teams within a drive, within a 4 or 5 hour drive. So they're not enticed to come watch that team play because they can never watch their games, home or away. The cable packages don't go in to that market. And, frankly, George, like in Colorado, I have one team. I have the Rockies. And It's actually for my benefit not to be able to watch the Rockies play. It's a wonderful advantage, okay? I mean, they're 8-28. But, George, I think for the best interests of the game, the blackout rule is anachronistic. It's archaic as can be, and it doesn't solve anything except keep people from watching the product.
So, Danny, here is one of the arguments I would make. If Rob Manfred was in that box instead of you, and I was going off about it, what I would tell him is, listen, what you're doing is tempting me to no longer care about my favorite baseball team. Because right now, it appears I'm going to have a summer where I'm going to watch the least amount of Atlanta Braves baseball that I have ever watched since I was 14 years old. But what ends up happening is you start saying, whoa, wait a minute. Hockey playoffs are pretty fun. NBA playoffs are pretty fun. And if you start getting in the habit and used to not, following it every day, suddenly you're like, the world continues, the sun continues to shine out there. The world continues to spin on its axis. Why are they stupid enough to tempt me?
Saturday night, George, I did exactly that thing. I was in Des Moines, and Kathy and I it was probably 8:00, and I was winding down, and I tried to flip on a couple games, and the games were blacked out. And I went to an NHL game because for me, it was a better option than the games that were on. Now, I'm not going to do that when I have any baseball option for the most part. But George, I'll be honest with you, it's just counterproductive. It's counterintuitive to trying to grow the game. I remember growing up in Chicago when they used to black out the home games, and I couldn't watch my beloved Bears as a kid.
Right.
Well, what I started to do is I started to watch other teams' games, and as the Bears faltered, I started to like other teams. I liked the Miami Dolphins all of a sudden, and some of these other teams as a kid. I just think it's frustrating. The hardest part for me, George, and this is the baseball savant in me, and Kelly, you'll appreciate this. It's not just the 6 teams that are in your blackout. It's who they're playing. So, my first night in Iowa about 3 or 4 years ago, Ohtani was playing against the White Sox. And I was all fired up. I came home from dinner. It's like 7:00. I'm going to watch Ohtani, and I've got to watch him on the at-bat or listen to it on the radio. That wasn't good enough for me. And I was really disappointed because the $130 I'm paying a year for the extra innings package or the MLB TV package doesn't circumvent that blackout. So as a result, that 3-game series against the White Sox, I didn't get to see him play at all. And it really bothered me. And frankly, I know it bothers a lot of fans in a lot of regions, and it's just wrong. And I think for us as a sport, we need to watch our product. I mean, I like watching Ellie De La Cruz play, but when he's playing any of the 6 teams that are blacked out, I miss his games.
Yeah.
I don't get to see Acuna. And to me, I don't really have a favorite team. I have a favorite sport with a bunch of favorite players. And, George, I watch Steph Curry play every single game he plays. I watch the Blackhawks every time they play. And for me, for 162 games, to not be able to watch some of, 20% of the games, is that frustrating for me?
Okay, last question on this subject. And Kelly's going, no, it won't be. If Rob Manfred was in the box that you're in right now and he was talking to me, I realize I'm asking you to speculate. Would he argue with me about it and say, here's why we're doing it for the good of the game? Or would he look at me and go, I hadn't really thought about it?
I'll answer that a couple different ways, George. All the people who are doing prep work at the Field of Dreams, every one of them, and there were hundreds of MLB staff and people who work for various entities, it frustrated them. It frustrated them that they couldn't watch a lot of their favorite teams play. But I think if I were in the box with Rob, and I know Rob well, I think a couple things. He's protecting the best interests of his right holders and his 30 entities, and that's his job. I mean, I get it. I know that's his job. You know, we both know we've been in situations where you have to protect ownership and rights holders, and sometimes it's not always what you really want. But secondly, I think for everybody in Major League Baseball, if they spent 2 weeks in Iowa, in Nashville, and they couldn't watch their team play, the frustration would probably turn to action down the line because, you know, it's like not having caffeine. It's like people who have nicotine fits. I mean, when I can't watch, it frustrates the heck out of me. And I think what I started experiencing in Iowa before the 2 big league games that were played in Dyersville is these people who are used to watching 4 or 5 games a day. I mean, you know, George, I mean, I've got 4 games going on almost every night. And suddenly to not watch half of them or some of them, you're just out of your ordinary routine. And it's not only frustrating, but it's inexplicable to the people who live there. And I already tried to do that workaround. There is no workaround. So in Iowa, I just scrap it. I know that there's games every night. I can't watch. I don't like it. I can't necessarily do anything about it, but I can be outspoken like I am right now because I just don't think it's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to continue to be outspoken about it because it's ridiculous. So I want to ask one thing on the field.
Yeah.
The Astros start puzzles the daylights out of me. There's too much talent there. But what I'm wondering is, does this become at the trade deadline a deal where Justin Verlander ends up either maybe in Atlanta or the Yankees? It just feels like that's an easy one to rumor.
George, this year there's a lot of teams hovering around 500. As a result, you know, unless there's a marked change in the next month and a half, we're going to have a lot of teams who think they have a wild card shot. Teams who are 82 to 85 win teams are going to be looking to add. Well, who do they add from? They add from the teams that are out. The teams that are out, for the most part, have nothing they can do to help. Colorado, Miami, the White Sox, they don't have talent to really come and impact your playoff shot. And really, George, in most cases, they haven't contended for a number of years. So as a result, they have players who have no experience in that dynamic, in that pressure cooker of trying to get in, which is a dangerous acquisition, something I would personally never do. What we have is one team that's an outlier, and that is the Astros. And George, keep in mind, all 5 of their rotation guys were dinged up at the beginning of the season. I think that's why they're 12-24. They're way too much talent. They're 8.5 back. They're a long way out. They're probably an 81 to 85 win team. They'll have an opportunity to do some things. I think they're a club that candidly, they're going to have to look at. This is an opportunity to retool, rebuild somewhat, but not completely blow it up. And George, the problem is, the dynamic is they don't have a lot of other teams that they have to be concerned about in the trade market. They're bad teams. They're teams that don't have a lot of talent. And George, if you and I are shopping and we're a contender in mid to late July, who are you going to go after? You're going to go after guys that you saw play on TV last October, and you're going to go, I can see this guy helping us. And if I'm the Astros, I'm taking those calls because you might get blown away, and it doesn't mean you can't contend next year. It just means you accept reality in 2024.
Okay, the Justin Verlander to Atlanta talk has begun. After the break, Kelly Holcomb will join Danny, and who knows, maybe Mr. Derek will be allowed a question as well. Stay tuned.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As some of you may already know, we're making some changes in our programming. Simply put, beginning Monday, May the 21st, and yes, that date did have to change, we will go into a 4 to 6 p.m. time slot to do this podcast, but we will also simulcast it on radio on 95.9 FM. And for those of you who watch in the Rutherford, Williamson County area, on 107.9 as well. The purpose of this is very simple. I want to be able to take phone calls. While I've enjoyed the podcast format, I have greatly missed the fact that I'm not able to talk to you all. And I don't feel like I have quite the pulse that I used to for that reason. If you go back through my 30 years as a broadcaster, I always enjoyed taking phone calls. I'm looking forward to getting back to that. So mark the date, Monday, May the 21st, 4 to 6 p.m. And thanks for all the support.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Kelly.
Yes, sir.
The floor is yours.
What's up, Danny?
How are you, Kelly?
I'm good. It was enjoyable listening to the rants about the blackouts and the Comcast and George. I mean, just don't subscribe anymore. Go to another one. I mean, nobody's got Comcast. Nobody's got Comcast anymore, Danny, other than your boy George.
I think it's fair to say they're not going to sponsor us anytime soon.
But Kelly, we put him on the couch, we get him comfortable, we let him lay down, we let him rant, and then we send him the invoice. It works.
That's awesome. So, Danny, we saw this guy at LSU. He's made a skyrocket, through the minor leagues. Give us a little bit about Paul Skeens, man. What is your outlook for him?
So I'm going to tell you a couple things you probably hadn't heard before, okay?
All right.
Paul Skeens was down the road at Air Force Academy about 3-4 years ago. Kelly, he was a catcher. He was a catcher at the Air Force Academy. He would close, 2-pitch guy, and he could hit. I mean, really hit. And in, I want to say 21 and 22, he's playing for the Air Force Academy. Couple great scouts told me, you got to go see this guy. I do. And I go, wow, this guy has a bat. This guy is an arm. He's a two-way guy. Really interesting guy. A velocity that was like ridiculous. And he transfers to LSU. So I'm thinking, what's he going to do at LSU? Well, he took it to another plateau. Number 1 pick in the country last year's draft. And Kelly, in one of the greatest drafts, talent-wise, in big league history, to be number 1, you had to be really, really good. This guy is a 5-pitch guy with elite stuff and elite command. He's going to pitch Saturday afternoon against the Cubs, and I'm going to find a way to watch that game in the afternoon because Kelly, this guy has a chance to be really special. And you and I and George have talked a lot about expectations and being fair to players, early in their career. This guy's coming in with the weight of not just being the number 1 guy, but being the savior for a franchise that has been on hard times for an extended period, but now has become relevant again. He's going to walk in. He's going to be a number 1 guy the first day. Kelly, fastball, 87 to 101, 97 to 101 with life, just an absolute wipeout slider. He's got a thing called a sprinker or splinker, I think he calls it. It's a variation of a splitter and a sinker that has 2-plane movement that is effectively unhittable. He's got a curveball and a changeup. But Kelly, 3 years ago, this guy was pitching 100 miles south of me and was the closer for the Air Force Academy and was real good, but was just as good a prospect with the bat and as a catcher. I think it's all worked out pretty well for him. But, I mean, Kelly, 6'5", 6'6", just great body. I mean, he's a dude, but this guy's going to come in with high expectations. And candidly, Kelly, I think he's going to be really, really good.
Danny, are they using him like Shohei? Are they going to let him bat as well? Or
no, they're going to let him just pitch every 5 days. He gave up the bat at LSU. Kelly, LSU is one of the best programs in the country. He goes there. He was under a great pitching coach at the Air Force Academy, but then he went to LSU and they really refined his game. But because of the talent that they had there, a team that went to the College World Series, he didn't get the opportunity to swing it. There was some great jokes last year when he was at LSU where guys would say, hey, can you catch a pen and then throw one? And the field staff went, oh my God, no, we're not letting him catch a pen. We're leaving him alone. He's going to be on the mound. But Kelly, what we have here is a really, really special athlete. He's just an elite pitching prospect. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see him walk in and, in a small market and suddenly be a dude. And I think it's going to happen right away. He was dominant in AAA, Kelly. really good friend of mine saw his last start and said to me, wow, this guy is amazing. And Kelly, he is. He's got a chance to be really special and really special from the onset.
Wow. So you get excited about guys. So let me ask you this. That made me think of something. Who excites you? I mean, I know the game excites you, and I know you just love watching games, but is there a player other than Shohei? Yeah. Is there a player that you like, that you love watching?
Well, I love Mookie Betts, and I'm not saying that because he's a Nashvilleian. I think Mookie Betts does everything well, and he's a great guy. I love Acuna, and I'm not saying that to placate George. I just love Acuna's game. I love the guys who are multifaceted, who can beat out a ground ball, score from first on a double, hit the ball out of the park, and play defense. When Mike Trout's healthy, I love Mike Trout. I'm a big fan of players, Kelly. So for me, Freddie Freeman's a guy I love to watch play. I really like watching Bryce Harper play. There's guys that, just do things that are a little different that I enjoy. I love Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners. He's got flair. He's got swagger. And I like guys who have that little edge, that little swag that, can aggravate you if you're the other club. But man, I love guys who can play the game at that level and play it with a verve that you can't see ordinarily. But Ohtani for me is must watch TV. Another guy I was going to say, Kelly, is Adley Rutschman of the Orioles. I love Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles. I like guys who have that, that extra gear. And Dela Cruz for me is just one of those guys. He can make a ground ball to shortstop exciting because he's going to throw the ball over at 100 miles an hour. Dudes like that, I mean, I want to see different. I want to see somebody who's a little better than everybody else, and that's what those guys do.
Okay, so this is a tough question. This is probably going to be a long answer from you, but we were talking about it the other day, and George was, he tried to answer the question, and I want to get your opinion on it. But the talk has come back about, Nashville's more than likely going to get a major league ball club at some point. I want to know. It just blows my mind. I want to know how you start a minor league organization when you become an expansion team. How does that happen? Like, I understand that, you're going to get a supplemental draft and you're going to take players from other teams. I get that for the major league squad. But then how does a new organization start, like going to a city and starting a single A team? Like, do you take a team or a city like Jackson that doesn't have anything, that used to have a minor league team there? Do you just automatically put something in there, or do you have to go to a town to build a stadium? How does all that work? It just intrigues me.
Kelly, what a great question. This isn't like Biscuit Love opening up a second spot, And,
right.
Biscuit Love, I love. But to me, what you have to do is twofold. You have to first get a franchise, which in itself is a challenge, something that, Nashville needs to get their stuff together to be able to pitch Major League Baseball, to be one of the two finalists, and get a team. Right now, they're splintered. It's not going to work. But here's what has to happen, Kelly. You first have to grow your brand, your product, your logo, your team name, your following, the stadium, your colors, everything about who you are as a franchise. But step two, and even more important, in my opinion, is you've got to have a baseball game plan, a strategy, a philosophy, and not from a casual fan, but from somebody who's in the absolute deep end of the pool. Because here's what you have to do. You have to start hiring. You got to hire scouts, player development people, front office staff. It requires a feel, a knowledge of the game and its inner workings. But to your question, Kelly, the most important thing you have to do is build your infrastructure. You've got to start with identifying where you're going to train. Is it Florida? Is it Arizona? And where in those respective areas? Then you have to start building a facility, because that facility is not only going to be your spring training facility, but it's going to be your year-round minor league headquarters. Then you have to identify 4 minor league affiliates, AAA, AA, and your 2A clubs. Obviously, you know, the Nashville Current team, the Sounds is fabulous, but they would no longer be a AAA club. So you've got to go out and identify 4 places that will suddenly be your place to house, develop, and train players. And Kelly, in most cases, those are AA teams becoming AAA teams, A clubs being AA teams. It's a challenge. But Kelly, you got to staff it. You got to scout. So all of that stuff happens 2 years before you play your first game. And if it doesn't, what you're really doing is you're setting the table to fail. What people don't realize is a baseball team depends on 45 to 60 players every year. And to assemble that many players, you've got to have infrastructure in place a year and a half to 2 years ahead of time. And that's why a baseball person has to be leading the effort. The ones that do it well, that compete fairly quickly, you know, think about hockey, think about the Golden Knights, think about the Kraken. They did a fabulous job in hockey. Basketball's done a great job at times. And in baseball, people have failed at some cases, and they've been great in others. And it all comes down to one thing. Do you have somebody leading your franchise who's a baseball person with feel, or is it a business person who dabbles? The dabblers are in huge trouble from day one.
Way over their head, yeah.
And you know what, Kelly? In a market like Nashville, people will see it, smell it, feel it, and know if it's not going to work. So, you know, it's a challenge to any expansion team from a viability standpoint, but for the long term best interests of the franchise, you got to have people who know what the heck they're doing long before you play your first game.
Perfect. I'm good, George. That's awesome.
That said it all. Danny, you are the best.
Well, guys, I'll tell you what, you know, I'm hoping Nashville gets a team. I'm hoping like heck, but I think the maneuverings in the background are actually the reason why you get that team. It's you show the Major League Baseball people that you're not only competent, that you've got a strategy and a game plan. And for Nashville's sake, I hope they put it together. And George, for our sake, I hope you get to watch your Bravos a little bit more, because I think you're going to have a little bit more of a playoff race than you ever anticipated in 2024.
The Phillies are for real.
Yeah, but you know what? The Phillies are hot, as hot as they're going to be all year.
You're
and
right.
Look where the Bravos are. You know, it's not like they pulled away and left a parking spot. There's still plenty opportunity over 130 games to get to them and pass them. George, they're going to get in, but you don't want to be in that play-in round. That's not the way you get to the dance at the end.
Amen. See you next week.
All right, guys. Good luck.
See you, brother.
He's the best. When it comes to talking baseball, there is nobody better than Danny Evans. There may be 2 or 3 that can do it as well in this world, but I don't know anybody that does it better than he does.
Yeah, he's really good, man. That's just I hadn't thought about all the other stuff. I mean, I was just thinking about minor league, but you've got to have a whole infrastructure. Man, you've got to have so much money. You've got to have so much money, George, to start that, to start paying people right off the bat. I'm like, wow, that's just amazing.
Real quickly, before we get to the embarrassment that is the plaster bet of the day, this is for Scary Harry. Harry, this is my hair. This is no toupee.
That's great.
Yeah.
You want me to bring up that comment, George, or no?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's see it.
Gary Harry says, I'm going to prank call you about that toupee when you get your line. Put your call-in line. Put in, Joel.
I like it.
You know, they back when I was doing Vanderbilt games, there was a commercial for a hair deal, and the caller, it was that they were taking a fictitious phone call, and the caller says, "Is George's hair real?" Yeah, that caller can whatever. Okay, let's get to. I know it. I know. I'm just having fun. This is no fun.
This is not a combat zone, George.
Well, it feels like it these days on Plaster Bet of the Day.
Yeah, it sure does. Bart Durham injury law may not be attaching his name anymore, their name anymore. But no, give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night. It was another 1-1 night. So at least you didn't lose two.
Yeah, but I should have been 2-0. Edmonton screwed me.
Sure did.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I'm bitter. Okay, let's see what we have come up with for tonight. This is one person's opinion. Oklahoma City is more solid than Dallas. Yes, if old Luka Duka and Kyrie score about 60 combined, I may end up being wrong. But top to bottom, OKC has a much better roster than Dallas. Dallas has two superstars, but the surrounding cast is just not good enough. OKC at home, minus the 5. And then Carolina Hurricanes at home. They will get it done. This is not going to be some 4-game sweep. The Rangers are in for a tussle starting tonight. Carolina's too good to be swept.
Good luck.
You like that? Yeah, I need it.
Well, good luck. Good luck.
I need it. You don't mean it.
I really don't mean it, but I'm, you're so bad right now that, I'm kind of for you a little bit.
You're a phony. You're a complete phony.
I've got a little phony in me every now and then.
Good luck. Yeah, whatever. Hey, Billy, tell people what we're doing tomorrow so you can scarf a day of vacation.
Tomorrow we are going to play the Jeff Fisher and Eli Gold presentation speaker series that we had. So if anybody missed that, we'll be playing it live tomorrow at our normal time at 2:00. So check that out. It was good. If you missed it, it'll be on live. So we'll be playing that tomorrow.
There's some interesting info that came out of it that you may not have ever heard before. So if you haven't tuned in, if you haven't seen this show, watch it tomorrow. Kelly, rest well.
I will. I'm a little upset that Poggi hasn't asked me to do the color, because what do you know about the color commentary on football, George?
I know a lot. I know.
No, you don't. You were the play-by-play guy, not the color guy.
I know that when all else fails, throw the screen. Screen right, screen left. Open the door and let them in. Let them in. And then throw the screen over the top. Kelly, it always works. Yeah.
That's so bad, George. Whatever.
I will do a great job.
Billy, be careful.
See y'all.
Yeah,
See you, buddy.
Behave. Come back. See all of you Monday.